The Apple TV is powered on, the remote responds, and yet the screen in front of you is completely black. No picture, no error message, just nothing. This problem looks serious, but it almost never is. The fix is almost always somewhere between the HDMI cable and a resolution setting, and you will be able to handle this yourself in the next few minutes. Check the TV input first. This might sound too simple to mention, but the single most common reason an Apple TV appears to not connect to the TV is that the television is displaying the wrong input. The Apple TV could be working perfectly and showing a picture on the wrong HDMI channel where nobody is looking. Pick up your TV remote and press the input, source, or home button. It is labeled differently on every brand. Cycle through every available input on your television one by one. Watch the screen as you switch. On most TVs, you will briefly see the name of each input on screen as you cycle through them. Stop at each HDMI input and wait 2 to 3 seconds to see whether the Apple TV picture appears. If you find the picture by switching inputs, the Apple TV was always working correctly. Your TV was simply set to a different input and showing a blank signal as a result. Select the correct HDMI input and go to your TV's settings to label that port so this does not happen again. If you have cycled through every input and the screen stays black on all of them, the issue is with the HDMI connection itself. And that is exactly what comes next. Reseat the HDMI cable on both ends. An HDMI cable that has worked perfectly for months can develop an issue overnight. The connectors work slightly loose from vibration, cables get nudged when something is moved near the TV, and the contact inside the port degrades over time. A cable that looks fully plugged in from the outside can have just enough of a gap to lose the signal entirely. Unplug the HDMI cable from both ends, the back of the Apple TV and the HDMI port on your television. Do not just wiggle it, pull it all the way out from both sides. Check the cable itself for any visible bends, kinks near the connector, or damage to the housing. Now plug it back into the Apple TV first, pushing it in until you feel it seat firmly. Then connect the other end to the TV. If you have a second HDMI cable anywhere in your home, pulled from another device temporarily, swap it in. A faulty cable is one of the most common causes of an Apple TV black screen, and cables fail in ways that are completely invisible from the outside. Testing with a different cable takes 30 seconds and either rules out or solves the problem immediately. There is one more quick thing to check before moving to software fixes, and it could be the entire reason you are here. Try a different HDMI port on the TV. Not all HDMI ports on a television are created equal. Some TVs have a dedicated ARC or EARC port, an HDMI port with enhanced compatibility for audio return, and standard ports that work differently than the others. Additionally, individual HDMI ports on televisions can develop faults and stop accepting a signal while the rest of the TV works perfectly. Unplug the HDMI cable from the current port on your television and plug it into a completely different HDMI port. If you are using HDMI 1, try HDMI 2 or HDMI 3. Switch your TV to the corresponding input after moving the cable and check whether the Apple TV picture appears. If the picture appears on the new port but was black on the original HDMI port on your television has failed. Use the working port going forward. If the picture still does not appear on any port with any cable, the next fix addresses what is almost certainly causing it. Drop a comment telling us which TV brand you have. Sometimes the fix for a black screen with Apple TV is specific to the TV manufacturer's settings, and we can point you to the exact right option. Fix the resolution mismatch. When the Apple TV is set to a video resolution or refresh rate that your television cannot display, the TV receives a signal it cannot process and shows a black screen. This is more common than it sounds and happens after firmware updates or after the Apple TV is connected to a different television than it was previously set up with. There is a built-in way to fix this without needing to see the screen at all. On the Siri remote, press and hold the back button and the TV button at the same time for about 5 seconds until the Apple TV resets its video output. After it resets, the Apple TV will cycle through available resolutions automatically every 20 seconds. When a picture appears on your screen, even briefly, press the select button on the remote to lock that resolution in. If you do not see a picture at any point during the cycle, try pressing the menu button and the volume down button together for 5 seconds as an alternative reset trigger, which works on some Apple TV models that do not respond to the first combination. Bypass any connected audio devices. If your Apple TV connects through a soundbar, AV receiver, or HDMI switch before reaching the television, any one of those intermediate devices can interrupt the HDMI handshake and prevent the picture from reaching the screen. Remove the intermediate device entirely and connect the Apple TV directly into an HDMI port on the television, using the cable you have already confirmed works. If the picture appears with a direct connection, the soundbar, receiver, or switch is the point of failure. Check that device's HDMI firmware and pass-through settings before reconnecting it. If the picture still does not appear with a direct connection and a confirmed working cable on a confirmed working HDMI port, unplug the Apple TV from power for 2 full minutes and try a force restart by holding the back button and TV button simultaneously on the remote after reconnecting power. If none of these steps resolve the black screen, contact Apple support with a description of every step you have already completed.